Hi guys, welcome back. So, being a traveling musician, what gives me so many amazing opportunities and to meet so many incredible people and see some beautiful places. One of those places that I actually documented was Jamarri. So in September 2019, a friend of mine who I'd met through the Nannup music festival invited me to go see Jamarri and visit with her, since she'd been there before and she knows how much of an affinity I feel with the Black Cockatoo. Now this video I've delayed putting out for a long time, obviously. I've put a lot of pressure on myself to get it just right and to give service to the Black Cockatoos. And yeah, in the end I've just decided, here goes. So Jamarri was run by a husband and wife team, Dee and David, for over 20 years until sadly David passed away, and Dee was left to run it on her own. She ended up dedicating over 34 years of her life to rehabilitating black cockatoos and any other wildlife that ended up on her doorstep. Like the day that we visited, she actually had an emu chick there in her living room, because sadly somebody had stopped to photograph some emus, a dad with a bunch of chicks, and when he got out to photograph them, the dad and majority of chicks made a run for it, but this one stayed behind. Little did he understand that if he had just gotten in his car and driven away, the male emu would have returned to the area to get the chick, but instead he was concerned that the chick was then orphaned and proceeded to catch it and drop it off at Jamarri for Dee to care for. So a sad tale of someone trying to do the right thing and just not quite nailing it. So black cockatoos love shiny things and they have incredibly powerful beaks. So I did remember to remove most shiny things before I went for this visit, but evidently I had forgotten about my watch, which one of them took a really good liking to.
Oh, you know what I can do is I can just like take it off and then you're not even tempted. How's that?
Yeah, I'll put my hand under it and grab it if you like.
I feel like I'm taking away all of the fun.
Do you want me to pass it
I'll
to
chuck
her?
it in my pocket.
So forest red-tailed black cockatoos, also called naso, are one of 5 subspecies of red-tailed black cockatoos here in Australia, and they are only found here in the southwest corner of Western Australia. From Perth kind of right down to Albany is their little tiny nook that they'll be found in. You can tell the male and the females apart pretty easily. Like the males are black all over except for these scarlet windows that open up when they fan their tails to fly or when they give off like a real punky little display. And the females and the juveniles have these kind of bands of more orange in their tail feathers, and they get these speckles all through their faces and their body. And I hadn't noticed until I went to Jamarri that if you look really closely, those little speckles are love heart shaped. And that's just so incredibly beautiful, you guys. Like, oh, as if they couldn't get any cuter. So in the southwest of Western Australia, we also get the Carnaby and Borden white-tailed black cockatoos. So lucky us. They're just so beautiful, you guys. These guys are a little bit harder to tell apart, and right through until 1979 they were actually thought to be the same species, but there's little tiny subtle differences. So the Carnabys have a shorter bill and a shorter call. And they feed primarily on like the Proteaceae family, so they're like inland in northern agricultural regions, kind of north and east of Perth a little bit, and yeah, they'll feed on like wandoo, salmon gum, yeah, that kind of habitat. Whereas your Bordens have a bit longer bill, a longer call, which you can listen to the differences online, and they're more found in the colder, wetter areas like Denmark in Western Australia, and they feed primarily on marri, but you will, when there's not much marri to feed on, you will catch them nibbling on other species like snotty gobbles and things like that. So the bill is grey-black on males and off-white on females. Males have a pink eye ring and females have a grey one. Both sexes have greyish legs and feet, though females are paler. Even now, they are increasingly difficult to tell apart because they're kind of, the species are intermingling due to deforestation and the lack of habitat for them. The species range is increasingly overlapping. So you will catch them in the same area, just trying to find food and somewhere to live more and more. So I got Dee to explain a little bit more about the species that she had been caring for at Jamarri, and yeah, here it is.
Subspecies Naso, and they're strictly to our southwest. I've got one Samueli in here, and that's Murchison, the other side of Perth area. But these guys are strictly to our southwest. We've got the Borden's long-billed cockatoo. That's the southwest bird, the Carnaby range, all over the southwest and up as far as Kalgoorlie they've gone. Yeah, Esperance. And they're all critically endangered. And Nikki.
So I also got Dee to do a quick little description of how to tell which species have been in your area just by the honky nuts that are on the ground that have been eaten. It's really interesting. Check it out. Here's her description.
If you find the nut has been eaten from the back of the nut, it's red tails.
Okay.
If
Where the stem is.
Yeah, where the stem is. If it's lip's been eaten off, it's Carnaby's.
Yep.
But if the lip's left on and there's just markings around the nut itself, that's Carnaby's eaten that, so it's taken the lip off. Where the Bordens, because of the long beaks, they don't take the lip off. They just leave two bottom beak marks around there and stick their beak in the whole nut. Yeah, and that's Carnaby's eaten that, red tail's eaten that. Yeah, Carnaby's have eaten that one. Yeah, but that's how you tell when you go bushwalking which bird's been in the area to eat the nut.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So these birds have a really, really special bond with their fellow brethren and even their human handlers. And in one aviary that we visited, there was a juvenile which wasn't yet able to fly. And as soon as we entered the cage and started approaching the juvenile, we weren't going to pick it up, but we were just, as humans do, trying to get a good picture. And the mum came straight down and was very protective of her chick. And it's really beautiful and a little bit sad sometimes too. So it's already estimated that in the last 50 years, the population of black cockatoos has reduced by 50% and down to a third of their original population. Because they're long-lived birds, like they can actually live up to 50 years, it's one of the other concerns is that the numbers out there now are actually older birds as well. They don't breed very prolifically. It's like one chick or two chicks at a time. And if this is an aging population that we're getting our statistics from now, it's essential that we protect their remaining habitat for the survival of the species. So black cockatoos nest in the large hollows of like jarrah and marries and very, very old trees. And that's part of the issue, is it takes a long time for a tree to get to that point and be habitable for the cockatoos to breed in. And they're also the longest to be replaced as well. Well, I excitedly just recently spotted a breeding pair in the forest near my home, so that was super exciting. I did capture some footage of it. It's super dodgy footage, but I had to share this moment with you guys, so here's the little snippet anyway of hope. He's gone back in.
No, he hasn't.
Oh, the camera's just not picking up. Oh, there it is. Cool. So sadly, in February 2020, Dee finally closed Jamarri's doors due to lack of support and lack of funding. It's just such a massive job for one person to be doing. So Dee released 41 black cockatoos into the forest surrounding her home, and then another 24 of them went to Karakin, Cockatoo Rehabilitation Centre near Perth, for further rehabilitation. And then there was like a couple that were never to be released into the wild. They were too domesticated or too injured as well, and they went to Karakin as well. So there's a flock of over 200 cockatoos around Jamarri and Dee's home. And it's expected that all those birds will join that flock as they had done in previous years. I mean, Dee was releasing about 30 cockatoos a year for over 30 years. It's amazing. So the sad part of the story is that Helms Block Forest is sentenced to be logged one day, which will leave all of these cockatoos with no home, nowhere to go, no food source, and with an already declining habitat. It's just heartbreaking to think of. Many die when trees are felled, die of lack of food. Some die when they're fleeing the scene. They get hit by cars on the road or trucks. And these giant jarrahs and marries who have been home and food for so many will be turned into wood chips. I don't understand. I am so grateful that I got to visit Jamarri while it was still operating, and I am so grateful to Dee for all her amazing work, and David's dedicating his life to it over the years. You guys are amazing, and thank you so much for what you've done for all of our beautiful native species. I received this awesome photo from a supporter who I met at a festival, and it is by far, I think, the best photo I've ever received. And from this being sent and the conversation that started, I ended up visiting Karakin Black Cockatoo Reserve as well. I'd actually visited that before Jamarri. And I hope to return there one day. It's a truly wonderful spot, and they're doing such amazing work out there, and now taking on all of Dee's work as well. So if you'd like to check it out and see how you can support them, you can donate, you can volunteer, you can adopt, you can shop. I'm going to put the link down in the comments below so that you can go and have an explore of their website yourself, and hopefully get there and have a look one day at the birds and dingoes and emus and everything that's there for yourself. And hopefully when I visit Karakin next time I can remember to document it, but I must admit, like, it's really hard to think to do it when you're there in the presence of these just truly majestic birds. It's but I will try my best next time. I will. So one final little note that I thought I better say is that the kangaroos and the birds that I was feeding during this video were domesticated. Please don't feed wildlife, especially kangaroos. I've been to places down near Esperance and that where people think it's really, really cute to feed little joeys a chocolate bar because they'll take it and they eat it, but it's toxic for them. It is so bad. And even if the food that you are feeding them isn't toxic, they can very easily come to rely on humans for their food. And they'll see it as an easier food source, and then when that is stopped or taken away from them, they can act aggressively because they think that they have to for survival. So if you love animals as much as I do, then you admire them, you can take photos of them, admire them from afar, and protect their habitat is the ultimate gift that you can give them. Much better than trying to feed them junk food or anything else like that. So thanks so much for watching, you guys. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I really enjoyed visiting Jamarri, and I hope that's come across a little bit in this video. If you get a chance, like and subscribe and help my channel grow, and don't forget to share the message about our beautiful black cockatoos. We're very lucky to have these amazingly beautiful, intelligent, majestic birds, and I just want us to be able to hold on to them. Be good to the world and be good to each other, you guys. Much love. Mwah. See ya.
So